Gaius Marius was a Roman general and consul who was famous for defeating an African king, Jugurtha. He was the first consul to serve not one, but 7 entire elections. He was a novus homo, meaning he was the first man in his family to become consul. He started from a humble beginning as a simple army man and grew to become aligned with a political group called the Populares, who rallied against the oligarchy of Rome in the interest of the general people. Lucius Cornelius Sulla was a lieutenant under Marius who was aligned with a political group called the Optimates, which did not want common people involvement, but rather wished to extend the power of the Senate and maintain the status quo of the oligarchy of Rome. Sulla was a patrician and head of the Optimates, which meant good men. However, many of their actions showed the opposite, since they did not champion the lower classes, but instead used their support for the good of the Senate. Sulla was born into a poverty-stricken family, but soon received a taste for luxury as he grew up and entered the military and government. After Marius's victory in Africa, he was elected consul and celebrated. However, Sulla was mad that he did not get enough credit for the victory, while both claimed credit. However, later the Senate had to choose one of the two to command the army against the king Pontus Mithridates, who had been attacking areas controlled by Rome, killing thousands and angering Rome. The Senate chose Sulla due to his recent consulship, which angered Marius, and in his rage he gathered a mob. Sulla fled to Greece, where he had loyal war veterans, and Marius took power, but eventually returned to Rome with his army and drove Marius to Africa, making Sulla the dictator of Rome. During this time, Sulla continued to campaign against Mithridates. The senators of Rome eventually turned against Sulla and invited Marius back. When he returned, Marius induced terror and absolute power, but only 17 days after he became consul and came to power, he died of old age. Marius had an ally, Cinna, who took over consulship after Marius died. Sulla tried to return to Rome and wanted to fight him, despite the Senate's plea for negotiation, but he was eventually killed by his own troops. Sulla came to power as a dictator and stayed in power through Caesar's childhood and rise to the political stage, greatly influencing Caesar as a political leader.